Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cherno and welcome to another Ludum tip. Okay, so today we're going to talk about libraries, and by libraries, I really mean libraries and game engines and stuff like that, but that'll become more apparent as we begin. Okay, so first of all, what libraries am I even talking about? So for Java, we've got libraries like LWJGL, the lightweight Java game library, very, very popular. libgdx, slick2d, and of course the actual Java library. So first of all, let's just skim through these. So LWJGL, why should you even use LWJGL? And well, there's a lot of reasons. First of all, it uses OpenGL, okay? It is essentially a binding of OpenGL for Java because, of course, OpenGL is written in C, and LWJGL just basically uses the Java native interface, JNI, to enable you to access that C code inside Java. So in other words, it's still running C code, but inside Java. Okay, that's essentially what LWJGL lets you do, run OpenGL, which is written in C. Now, it also includes things like loading textures. Actually, I think that's more of a slick util thing to do. But it does include things like keyboard input and the actual window. So it creates a window for you and everything, and does a display, and you can do full screen and stuff like that. It even grabs the mouse and does awesome stuff like that would take you a lot longer to do manually. So it's more than just an OpenGL binding, like say Java Joggle, I think it is JOGL, Java OpenGL. I haven't put that on this list, by the way, JOGL, just because I've never used it, so I can't really talk about it. But as far as LWJGL goes, it's much more than just OpenGL for Java. It's like a whole, it's a lightweight Java game library. So it is a game library, but it's fairly lightweight. It doesn't have any specific things. That's all up to you. So in other words, you know, it's not an engine or anything. You still have to make your own engine in LWJGL if you want to be able to use it. But it, you know, some of the stuff is already done for you, which is awesome. So libgdx, really good, okay, really good. Now that is more of an engine. I put it into libraries and engines, you'll see later, but it is more of an engine, but it does include awesome features like, well, being able to pretty much output to a mobile device, and you can make a game in Java and it will just simply, you literally just compile it normally, and it will actually run on iOS and Android and stuff like that. It's really awesome. In fact, I think it also supports HTML5, which is crazy. There's libgdx is just, it's one of the best ways to make a game in Java if you're running out of time, I guess. As well as even if you're not. Really easy to use, really awesome thing, but it is more of an engine in the library, so yeah. Slick2d, I don't like Slick2d very much. I just don't like the way that they kind of do things. I prefer to just use LWJGL to write my own thing. Slick2d and LWJGL are basically made by the same kind of people, kind of. But Slick2d is essentially, it uses LWJGL, okay? So it does use OpenGL. It is hardware accelerated, and it is very good. Now, the Java library, okay? That is the important one that I've pretty much been using for all past 11 days. I really like writing stuff from scratch, okay? That's just who I am. I just like doing it. I don't know why. It's fun to me. It's actually more fun for me to make an engine than to make a bit of a game. And I know that kind of sounds, you know, not really in the spirit of Ludum, but that's just who I am. I can't help that. I really like the technical stuff, like dealing with color spacing and colors and stuff like that, and you know, bit shifting. I really like that stuff. So the Java library is great for that because the way that I usually make games with the Java library is using an array of pixels, right? And then I can just manipulate each of those pixels. I can change the color of each of those pixels, and thus I can create different images. Now, that's not all you can do, okay? You can just directly display images. Handling keyboard input in Java is a breeze. Creating a window in Java is a breeze. Creating a graphics, creating a rectangle that you can move around the screen is really easy, okay? So, you know, in Java, what you do have essentially is the opportunity to just use what is already in Java to make something that, to make a game, okay? So again, you will have to put work into it though. That's the other thing. With something like LWJGL, Slick2d, I'm not 100% sure about Slick2d. I'm very limited in that. But in LWJGL and in normal Java, you will have to write an engine for yourself. libgdx, I'm pretty sure you won't have to. libgdx, you won't have to. Slick2d, I'm not sure about that. Okay, so let's talk about C++ now. Now, C++ is very different because it doesn't have that Java library that enables you to create windows, handle input, put graphics onto the screen easily. It doesn't have any of that, okay? You have to write that stuff from scratch. So, that's why it's pretty much imperative to use library if you want to make a game in C++. Now, what library you should choose? I've pretty much ordered it from best to worst there. Not best to worst, but best, I guess, most useful to least useful in my opinion here. So SDL, Simple Direct Media Layer, brilliant, okay? Runs in both, okay, whether you know DirectX or OpenGL, SDL will have you covered. Make sure you use, if you do end up using SDL, make sure you grab SDL2, which is the good version. SDL1 is, I think might not even be hardware accelerated. Anyway, there's a bunch of different versions, but the point is, SDL2 is the one you want. It supports both OpenGL and DirectX, so whatever API you're I guess, rolling with, you can do it. Now, it also supports, essentially, like, it can basically blit, canvases as well, so, and what are they called, surfaces. So, it can do the pixel array thing. It is a bit slower than Java's version, but it can still do it. One thing I should probably mention quickly about Java as well is that standard Java library, that's not really hardware accelerated, okay? I know there are volatile images, and you can kind of, no. Basically, Java isn't hardware accelerated, whereas Slick2D, libgdx, and LWJGL are, okay? Worth mentioning. Now, in C++, all of these are hardware accelerated, okay? SDL includes much more than just a OpenGL context. It includes an entire game engine almost, okay? You still have to make your own engine, but pretty much the method calls you'll be calling are already there for you, okay? So it does have input handling. It does have stuff like mouse grabbing. It does have, what's that other thing, that important thing that it had? Oh yes, image loading and decrypting and stuff like that. It does have you can actually get something called SDL image, which will let you load PNG, JPEG images. So it has all that stuff, okay? GLFW, on the other hand, is literally just an OpenGL context, okay? So GLFW allows you to use OpenGL in C++ in a window. It creates a window for you which runs OpenGL. That's basically what GLFW does. It does include input handling as well. But at its core, I guess, it's just basically an OpenGL context. Now, in GLFW, unlike SDL here, it doesn't have any kind of image loading capabilities, so you have to basically download the JPEG and PNG libraries yourself, okay? SFML, haven't used that. It's essentially kind of like GLFW, it's OpenGL as well, and it's basically an OpenGL engine, kind of. It's got calls to stuff like shaders that you don't have to set up yourself. So it is cool like that. GLFW is literally just allowing you to use OpenGL inside a window. SFML is a bit more than that, and Allegro finally is also a pretty solid choice. It's been around for a long time, which I again haven't used, but heard good things about. So those are your choices, okay? What I'm gonna pick in this Ludum Dare is, since I've already picked, I'm probably gonna use Java in this Ludum Dare, just because of the development time. If you guys haven't seen the comparison of programming languages I made, which was the previous tip, there'll be a link in the description, probably an annotation right there if I don't forget to put it up. And essentially, you'll probably see it in the later videos. It's just called Ludum Dare Tips Programming Languages. Okay. So go watch that. But essentially, Java's a lot faster for development than C++ if you have like 48 hours here. So but out of those libraries, I'm probably going to use either LWJGL or the standard Java library, depending on what the theme is and what my ideas are. Okay, let's talk about development environments, because that's really important, especially for you people who maybe aren't as comfortable with programming and can't just make games in seconds, essentially. So we have Unity, okay? Unity is a big one. It's very, very popular in both the real world and in Ludum Dare. Ludum Dare, a lot of games are made with Unity. Now, the great thing about Unity, right, that I really like, is it has a web player kind of thing, right? It essentially runs inside a web browser, can run inside a web browser, which is awesome. I should probably mention, actually, let's go back a bit, that obviously all the Java stuff is cross-platform, and all the C++ stuff that I've listed is also cross-platform, so you'll be fine with that. Okay, but it won't run inside a web browser. Okay, so there's a few. Let me just... Nope, too far. Okay, so we've got yeah, so the great thing about Unity is that it can run. Unity can run inside a web browser, which means that, as I talked about in the previous tip as well, in the programming languages one, is really beneficial for Ludum Dare because more people will play a game just because they don't have to download it. So Unity is a really solid choice. If you know C#, I'd be going for that, maybe. Just because I personally don't like the offerings that C# has in terms of engines and stuff like that. I don't like how it deals with OpenGL. I don't know. It's just not my thing. So I would probably go for using something like Unity, as well as the fact that if you're making a 3D game, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Unity is probably gonna be the best way to do it. In 48 hours. Okay, it's gonna give you the most visually impressive game. I mean, like getting a perspective down, sure, that's easy, but stuff like lighting that it supports, that's really really good. It's really hard to do from scratch in something like LWJGL, because you'll have to write shaders and all that stuff. So Unity is a really top choice. Game Maker. First game I ever made in my life was made with Game Maker in 2006. So Game Maker's solid, at least it was 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago. But Game Maker is, again, a pretty good choice. I know it's got a lot of it. It does have a lot of advanced things, because there's actually a game called Spelunky that I used to play about 2 years ago as well. That was made with Game Maker. So in other words, that pretty much proves to me that Game Maker is really solid, because that is a top game. Okay, Spelunky, look it up. I think that a newer version came out now that wouldn't be made with Game Maker, but the original one was made by one person. So Game Maker, again, solid choice. It's a whole interface. It's a whole development environment. So that'll really speed up stuff, because you won't have to program as much. You'll have to and also you have advanced debugging tools as well in something like Unity. Unreal Engine, okay, UDK. Now, CryEngine is also a good one. I'm pretty sure that's proprietary. Unreal Engine, I think it is as well. I know a few people were using it for Ludum Dare. I don't know how that panned out, but Unreal Engine, again, is a really good one if you're looking for something to do with 3D and kind of, I guess, first-person shooter-ish, okay? Or just grungy textures. That's what I think of. So, engines. Those were development environments. They're also known as engines, of course. But for Java, we've got JMonkey Engine, which is a 3D engine. Pretty good. I'm not a big fan of it, but it does work and is really good for for 3D, pretty much. LibGDX, I've put this into engines as well, just because it is a bit of an engine, isn't it? Like, it allows you to basically, it's got like, it's pretty fine, a lot of the code for you already, so I kind of consider it half engine, half library. Probably the only reason I consider it a library is the fact that it starts with lib, which stands for library, so, yeah. So again, libGDX is kind of like, in fact, it says kind of engine on the screen here, but it really probably is kind of a library and definitely an engine. For C++, we've got Irlicht and Ogre, both 3D engines, really, really good. If you're looking for something to do with a 2D engine, I would just write my own, okay? That's not going to take you too long, probably will. But again, use libraries like Allegro and stuff like that. That will help you out a lot if you're looking for 2D stuff, essentially. All right, so why? Why on earth would you use a library? Why not just write everything from scratch? Well, guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Time, bro. Time. You have 48 hours. You do not want to waste an hour writing a key input handler, okay? You want to waste that hour, wisely spend that hour actually making your game. Why not design an enemy or an entity system? Or why not make the graphics for a menu instead of freaking figuring out how to make a window, okay? Big difference. You have to really prioritize what you're going to be doing here, okay? Honestly. Time is of the essence when it comes to Ludum Dare. Game, not engine. You are in Ludum Dare, most likely, to make a game, not a game engine. Big difference. There is such a massive difference between a game and a game engine, okay? A game engine supports the creation of games, whereas a game, you just go ahead and make the game, okay? You know what? The more I'm saying this, the more it's actually kind of in my head connecting to what I said yesterday about the Java virtual machine versus C++ native code. Making a game is like using native code, like using a native language, and or native programming, I guess. And an engine is kind of like using a virtual machine programming kind of thing. Okay, virtual machine development. So in a game, when you're making a game, you're like connecting. The application communicates directly to the processor, kind of like a native language does. Whereas when you're making an engine, your application communicates to the virtual machine, which then communicates to the processor, okay? So in other words, that little metaphor now is panning out that when you're making a game, you are programming your entry. When you're making an engine, you're programming the pit stop, which will be on the way of you making your game, which will be your entry. So in other words, you're just creating a third wheel. instead of just sticking with 2. So make sure that you make a game, not an engine. Don't worry about handling really cool stuff and advanced clipping everywhere, especially if you're writing stuff from scratch. Just focus on making a game, and that's why a library is really important, because all of that code that is there to make yourself an engine, it's there, so you can just focus on the game, which is really the important part of Ludum Dare. You want to make a game, not an engine. Less probable stress, okay? So you will probably have less stress if you make a game and not an engine, because stuff will work. More game. Alright? More game. You will be making... Your game will be better if you've already got an engine for it. Just gonna put it that way, okay? The gameplay will be... You'll spend more time on the gameplay, you'll spend more time on the graphics, on the assets, everything. That's why, you know, it's really important to just make the game and not an engine, okay? If you use a library, again, you will make more of a game than if you write something from scratch. Less problems, okay? A lot of the time you'll run into problems you have no idea why they're happening, but they are, okay? And when you are under that kind of pressure where you only have 48 hours, you might be like 4 hours left till the finish, you decide to add a feature because you're an idiot, and then suddenly that feature breaks the entire game. You figure out that, oh, okay, that's actually happening because the way I wrote the engine was really stupid because I was rushing it, okay? So, yeah, use a library, okay? Really, really important. That's pretty much it, guys, alright? So, you know, just in conclusion, libraries will help you develop your game faster, okay? They will help you avoid writing an engine, because after all, Ludum Dare is about writing games, not engines. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Ludum Dare Tips, I guess, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Tomorrow, actually. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.